Alrighty, yo, what is up, Knights? Aegis Rick here, bringing you episode 4 of the Arad Airways podcast. First things first, I want to say happy anniversary. I don't really talk about it in the rest of this podcast, but happy 3rd anniversary, guys. We've been going for almost, I don't think that it's an official date yet, but almost 3 years now, guys, and we're very close to getting some brand new Lancer classes, and we'll definitely be talking about those more in the future. But today, guys, I got 4 exciting topics to talk about, but before that, let's go ahead and recap last week's questions that I had for you guys. All right, the very first thing that we talked about was the changes to the KDNF mercenary system, which I'm heavily looking forward to. Chosen Zeno says, the new merc system seems heavily grindy. I'm a one-character guy. I hate being forced to roll alts. Trust me, this is being forced. You'll need those stats. People should at least get a unique in Sig, lol. I saw a full epic guy with no epic in Sig. Yeah, that's a good point on the insignia. They need a legendary. No excuses there. But yeah, heavily grindy, and you need to force an alt. Well, my next point that I'm about to read here, you will not need to farm alts. You will not be forced to do that. And being a one-character guy in this game, I heavily disagree with. I'd understand it in different games, like Final Fantasy. You can change jobs and do all that. But this is a game that has like 58 characters or something. To say that you're just going to pick one and not try any of the other ones and not give any of the other ones any time of day is just... This is not the right game for that, right? This is a game that has too many characters for that. It would make more sense if there were a lot less characters and more archetypes to fill into. But with 58 characters all uniquely kind of playing, come on, man. Alright, we kind of talked about the new mercenary system and the character collection system in the last video, which was controversial. So controversial, in fact, that this comment left by Upan, or Upan here, says, the all characters thing is removed already, ... Removed already, I'm assuming, from KDNF, since we never had it in the first place. So, yeah, and as far as I see the reply comments, they kind of agree with that sentiment, that the system was not well received, too controversial for even Korea, and they already took it out of the game. So honestly, I don't have much to say. I mean, I guess I lose this argument here since Neopol took it out, but I still think it would have been nice to have, obviously, since I had every character. But okay, fine, that's fine. Next, we kind of talked about what was getting removed from the game before the Origin. Obviously, Origin's already released and it's far too late to capitalize on these. But one thing that was mentioned was they are removing the feat quests. And Rokabur says, they're removing the stats from the title system. All my alts that use the feat clear ticket gained 5 to 7k HP alone. Which is true. The feat clear system actually gave you stats, like raw stats. It should be noted, by the way, that after the Origin, the stats that you gain from the title book for doing the feats are still available in the game, just in a different way. Every character gets them basically right away. You get a new skill called like latent power or something like that, and so you have no issues there. You're still going to get the same raw stats, you just don't have to work for it. It's just automatically obtained as a skill once you awaken. So no worries there, Rokabur. Alrighty, guys, first topic of discussion, and I'm going to actually have a lot of topics in this video, mostly because it's been a while since the last episode, and mostly because there's been a lot happening since the last episode as well. A lot of stuff has happened, and I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. But, guys, obviously, the Origin update has been released for a little while now. I think to the point where if you were a consistent player of DFO, you've by now gotten used to the new Origin update and how the map layout really is. Because if you didn't know, the entire world of Arad got kind of uprooted at this point. Our main hub isn't really underfoot. It's the West Coast and Hendon Mere. Those are back. All kinds of stuff, you know, Ophelia Post getting added, Underfoot getting added to that Ophelia Post region, a mirror Arad to kind of... I thought that was a really cool feature. Mirror Arad is like its own little thing, which kind of harkens back to the old Arad that we had before. It kind of doesn't really make much sense if you're a brand new player, that area, but it does for those of you guys who play the old version of DFO. And basically what this is, the Origin update, is like a different dimension. And what we used to know is like another dimension, so it's kind of like not really retconning it, but we're just in a new setting, I guess. But they did retcon out Roxy, as far as I know, in the history of the lore that's going on in the Origin update. But yeah, a ton of things. I can't really list them all. I'm just kind of thinking them off the top of my head here, but there's been a lot of changes to Arad with the Origin updates and the main hub world. But at its core, and this is the point I kind of want to make about Origin, at its core, I just can't help but feel like there really wasn't all that much added to the Origin update. I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? I know they did all kinds of updates in terms of maps, new maps, the lore from start to finish, the dialogue, the questing system, everything from top to bottom has been revamped and at least touched up. But you'll notice, I think kind of the thing that happened with the Origin update, you'll notice that they've kind of front-loaded all of that effort from level 1 to 50, because basically from level 1 to 50, it's like you're playing a different game, is the best way I can describe it. I mean, they kind of like handhold you all the way up to level 50, which is when your first awakening occurs. And after that point, you've kind of get back into the flow of things of how it used to be before the Origin update. So it kind of feels like the Origin update was just a speed boost through level 50 up to level 50, and then it's kind of like normal DFO from that point. You still have things like Ghent and Antwerp Canyon and all of that stuff that happens after that. The Time Gate, you still have that power station. All of that is still exactly the same. Zelva, and then finishing off in Pandemonium, exactly the same beats. What is going to be a little bit different is the scenarios are going to be truncated. You're getting, I don't know if you're really getting more EXP at this point. I haven't really analyzed it very much. But yeah, you're getting a lot of EXP, and by the end of it, actually, if you're just following your scenarios and not skipping any, especially near the end game, you're going to have more than enough to max out without any events going on, you know, so it's going to be no issue in leveling to the cap as long as you're careful not to clear quests when you actually need them. But yeah, like I said, aside from that, the Origin update has really just been front-loaded, you know, it just, I hate to say unnecessary, right, because pre-Origin, you can get to about level 30-something, 34 in like your first day of leveling. So really, you know, metastasis is still about that rate. You can get to level 50 pretty quick within guaranteed your first 2 days of playing the game. And then after that, it's just kind of the same old. I do like how the First Awakening quest kind of like incorporates into the story. You kind of get more powerful via, I guess, activities that happen or progress through the story. So that's cool. But like I said, guys, I can't help but feel like, man, that was a big update for not that much. You know, it is a big deal for the guys who are into the lore because they get a little bit a different lore. Lenny still dies, so that's my favorite part of that. And I haven't gotten completely through with leveling my new Elven Knight, but as far as I see, the same exact beats. You pick a camp once you go to Zelva, you know, you still go up the tower to Pandemonium and all of that. So I can only assume Luke is going to die, Becky's going to cry, and that's going to be just hunky-dory. You know, as long as that happens, I'm going to be fine with this Origin update. But man, I hope I'm not the only one who has this opinion who kind of feels like the Origin update is half-baked. Or I hate to say half-baked. It just doesn't feel very useful. You know, it just doesn't feel like, well, man, this game just, there's a ton of stuff to do. But they did take out a lot of things. You know, here's me kind of complaining about the stuff they took out. They took out Dark Elf Ruins, you know, content that I could have used like that, and in place didn't give us anything in return. You know, the Mirror Arad is now its own dungeon region, but I don't have the old Mirror Arad to farm dungeons for endless eternities, as well as, you know, powerful energies. That kind of content is gone. So it's like they took out content, but didn't give me new content, aside from the whole leveling thing. So it just doesn't really make all that much sense to me. I do realize also there is some stuff like epic weapon crafting, which we don't have, and you can kind of, I am definitely preparing for that kind of content coming, but that's still not kind of shoring up the things we lost. The weekly system, we lost that, which was an excellent way to get cards and beads. They didn't replace it with another, you know, system. So it just boggles my mind why they thought the Origin was a replacement to these things. They took these things out. Whenever you take something out, hopefully you would replace it with something that, it doesn't have to be equal. It doesn't even have to be better. It just has to be comparable, you know, right? So I just don't see the reason why they removed Dark Elf Ruins if they didn't give us an alternative to the rewards given out of Dark Elf Ruins and Mirror Arad. You know, those two things, despite whatever they did in the Origin update, I just can't question, I can't help but question why they removed those two things, which is extremely frustrating for me. And as I'm playing here, I'm just kind of just remembering how much more dailies meant to me back then. And after Origin, you know, I can't help but feel like, well, I'm just going to wait for Raid and Luke because those are the only dailies that I really have to do now. They removed dailies. You know, they removed useful dailies, which is huge in this game, right? Dailies are everything in this game. Maybe you guys have differing opinions on that, but the way I see it, right, if you didn't use Dark Elf Ruins, if you didn't do the weekly dungeons, then I guess Origin was no change to you. But for those of you guys who did abuse those systems, and I know there were a lot of you guys who would do Psycho Sundays with me and other kind of content like that, really you just kind of feel like, what the fuck, man? Origin sucks. I didn't want to say it. Origin sucks, guys. It doesn't. There was so many things I didn't mention that are convenience features out of the Origin. So, you know, I'm talking about the teleportation. Man, they really did a much better job in terms of how you can get to places much quicker. Right now, you can just go to the right door in Siria's room. You can teleport to the main hubs that you're going to want to go to. The only weird one, I think, is Hendon Mere. For some reason, they want to teleport you to the back alleys of Hendon Mere, and there's just no real quick way to get to somebody like Grand Disgracia or Siria, somebody you're going to go to all the time. There's no real, like, direct way to get there. You can go to the back alleys, which I don't think is a primary place I would go to. Maybe you can correct me on this. And, you know, you might think, oh, well, just walk out of Elvengard. Well, there's this, like, weird door in between Elvengard and Hendon Mere that I feel like shouldn't be there because then I could get to Hendon Mere instantly, but I can't. You know, it's always one map away from where I'm at to get to Hendon Mere, which I feel like was the old main hub of the world. Now it's kind of like a secondary hub. I don't get it. West Coast is the main hub, which it should be. West Coast, best coast, right? But yeah, convenience, stuff like that. Totally awesome feature. I wish they had this before when there was no limitation to the Valley of Fallen Souls, you know, a teleportation right to it. You know, that is so sick, especially when you're doing TOA and TOD dailies. When they had no limitation, that would have been a godsend. But, you know, this is good enough. Teleport you right to the door, just walk left and you're in. So stuff like that, I totally dig. The teleportation potions now, by the way, guys, those are something I used to craft before and I thought they were awesome, and they're even more awesome now. They function just like the party teleportation potions did, and the aura effects that teleport you to a location and not necessarily to Siria's Gate, because now Siria's Gate is kind of built structurally into Elvengard, and you use a teleportation potion, you can teleport anywhere on the map directly. So that's even better. You can teleport right to a door. You don't have to walk to anywhere. It saves a bunch of time and justifies the cost of crafting that item. The one thing I find kind of weird actually about Siria's room is that if you're in a region, it's hard to tell what region you're in, right? Because Siria's room is located in Elvengard, every time you're in Siria's room, the map shows that you're in Elvengard. So it's kind of weird, because once you step south out of the room, you could end up in whatever region you were currently at. But right now, I just don't think there's an easy way to tell where you are. And, you know, even if you press the main map, it still shows you in Elvengard. The only way I'm going to know is if I just step out there, which is just kind of weird. I get it. The lore is that Siria's room is in Elvengard, but it really shouldn't physically move you to Elvengard unless you actually are in Elvengard. You know, it's just kind of a weird graphical thing. They could just make it so that you're actually in the region that you see yourself in, and then you'd know right away, oh, I got to teleport to go to this other zone. You never had that issue back when Siria's Gate was a mobile kind of thing. It doesn't really matter. Just a small thing. It shouldn't take but a few seconds to see where you are, but you can't tell from right away. But we've talked about Origin quite a bit, guys. There's some other things like the swap system, which I don't want to get into. I talked about it in the last episode, but the swap system is just awesome. There's nothing bad I can really say about it. It's pretty much mandatory. Everybody needs a swap, and if you don't have it, you're really just kind of gimping yourself. It is one of those things that I would suggest. First things first, right when you get to max level, start farming your Chronicle set. Most likely you're going to have some kind of 6 set if you're not a special situation where you might need a 9 set. But yeah, start farming that, get all the tainted pieces you might need, get all the extra levels you're definitely going to need, and you know, the current titles right now are a pretty good place to get those as well. So swaps all day, and you should definitely have it. Don't forget, I found out quite later in life, but if you have 2 skill builds, which a lot of my main characters do, you have to set up the swap for that skill build as well, which is really nice for things like Satyr and Battle Satyr. You can switch between the builds and then have a different swap for that build, but don't forget to turn it on. And that's another thing. Don't forget to actually select the skill. Most classes will just have the one, but make sure there's a check mark on the skill so that you know you have it selected. So the swap system, awesome feature. It should have been in the game a long time ago, but better late than never, I always say. I've never said that. Anyway, guys, that's Origin. Like I said, I'm kind of lukewarm about this patch. You guys will let me know what you guys feel about it. But, you know, after leveling a character from start almost to finish, I will get it to max level here soon. But doing that just it just didn't feel like that wow factor was really there. And I didn't feel like this was like an update beyond all updates. It probably is one of the biggest updates of the year, but at the same time, I don't feel like it was as impactful as I might have wanted it to be. And I know I'm going to be getting some changes for my female striker and female brawler that I didn't get in this patch that I was kind of expecting to get. So even though there was a ton of character balances, we didn't get all the ones that I'm expecting. I'm expecting new skills. I guess, you know, Kunoichi and Witch, they're excited, but I'm expecting some new skills on my striker and brawler, and there's more than likely going to be a lot of other classes that are getting a lot of different things that they didn't get in this patch. So we're not yet complete with the Origin update, I don't think, or I don't think everything that you might want from future KDNF patches are in yet, and we'll see them soon, hopefully. But the first thing is going to be the Lancers. I did not allot any time at all to really talk about the Lancers. You're most likely going to hear about it, see it on the streams and stuff, so this is kind of me plugging in my stream here, guys. Aegis Rick on Twitch. Check it out. If you didn't know I have a Twitch channel, of course I stream. At this point, I'm definitely streaming more often than I'm making videos, but you know, I do like doing both for sure on that. So we'll see a ton of content. We'll check out these fucking Lancers, I guess. I'm not as hype as I was for the Knights, but definitely the Dragoon seems interesting, and hell, if the fuckboy Lancer is cool too, then so be it. What can I say? But yeah, I don't want to harp on them because we'll see just like in a few days here how they're going to play like. What I do want to harp on though is the Pro-Aradian event. Guys, I don't know how to ease into this, but this event has taken over my goddamn life. Like, period. It has taken over my life harder than anything ever has. Okay, I won't say that, but it has just invaded every second of time I have for the past couple months, and it really is tireless grind to try and do all of the tasks that it's asking me to do. Right now I've only gotten 2 completed, but you know, the last 2, but I'm pretty dang close on the other ones. TOA, I'm like a few off. Pandemonium, I'm dead set on. I haven't missed any days on that. The Hells, I'm about halfway through. I'm gonna try my damnedest, but man, I've done a lot of Hells, it seems like. You know, the FPs I can do like today and tomorrow-ish, you know, all I have to do is take a few seconds to actually sign into my characters, turn on Express, and just go at it for a couple hours, because it takes only a minute and a half, I think, to drain my FP, but then you got a lot of characters you have to do it on, so that's something. Restart character is not yet max. I'm gonna max it like after I'm done with this podcast here, but am working on it. Those are kind of easy things. Dragoon or Impaler. It says Dragoon or Impaler, so I only have to level 1 to max. If the leveling rate is anything like the restart event, they're even going to have events more than likely. Even if they didn't, that would have been an easy task to do, so that's guaranteed. And the Anton Phase 2, I'm actually 90 out of 120. I'm actually almost done with that. I will certainly finish that within the time limit that they're giving us, because we've actually been doing Cygnus trains. Cygnus is my guild in DFO, and a lot of the guildies luckily have been accepting of doing some guild raids. We're doing about 7 a day on average, maybe 5 on the weekends because we got Luke too. But yeah, it's been many thanks to the guildies doing that. I do want to try to continue doing those trains after this event. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, thanks guys, you got me this this one check mark here in this Pro-Aradian and now we're done. No, I want to keep doing it afterwards because I think it's really efficient. You know, it's obviously something you've got to do. If you really want to take the hyper end game very seriously, you need at least a good solid set of characters at the hyper end game that kind of feed each other. Invites, this is kind of how you can hyper boost a character, because my paladin right now, I ran out of demon invites and I was just going to take the slow coast until I get 12 out of 12. Well, if you want to just accelerate that heavily, you just dump invites from other characters from the Hells they're doing, disassemble their epics that they get, and just start dumping resources into the character. It's just a way to hyper boost your progression. And hell, if you get a good epic on that other character that you're just kind of screwing around on, that can be a huge boost as well. You get a weapon or something. Dude, my female priest, my crusader, got a Jupiter. I don't even know what it's called. Jupiter Cross? I think it's Jupiter Cross. Got one of those on a female crusader. Like, what the fuck? This thing is the best thing ever. It also looks freaking dope. I want to put a picture of my female crusader. She looks awesome with this cross, you know. So, you know, you could just get lucky like that. I'm kind of looking out for a scythe if I can get one for my mistress, but you know, you get even one weapon or one good epic, and you're kind of setting yourself pretty, right? You're starting to become pretty strong after that. You get a good gracious set, and then you get a few off epics. You're going to be like my Nen and just kind of dominate. Be a very, very powerful character on your account with just a few good drops, and you're gonna get them with how many Antons you're doing and how many hells you can do afterwards. So Pro-Aradian kind of opened my eyes to this. At first, trust me, the first 2 days, I think, of me doing like non-stop Antons, those first few days were rigorous. They were so like debilitating to me because I was not used to just doing Antons for that long, right? And there's a lot of waiting time, but if you can kind of find a good group to alleviate that process, trust me, it just goes by really quick, and it's well worth it, I think, for all of us involved to kind of get something out of it. And I'm happy that my paladin's getting a lot stronger. That being said, she still hasn't gotten finished any sets, but she's like 4 out of 5 on like 2 different 90 sets. She's 3 out of 5 on Sky set. Got 0 pieces of 5 senses, but I do got a couple pieces of the Civ set. So, you know, I'm sitting pretty. I'm very strong, and I had no problem even getting into Luke just because of the sets that I do have. The tactical leader is very helpful, and the fact that I'm Paladin anyway does a lot of wonders. But, you know, I want more Luke-ready characters. And Pro-Aradian kind of opened my eyes to what you need to do to get them, and I think I can get them pretty quick. You know, if I play my cards right, if I keep helling on the right characters and dump the right resources in the right places, I can do that. Now, I for sure will not be able to get the Luke Phase 2 reward. I'm only doing Luke on 2 characters. But the next time they're doing this event, I more than likely will have more characters that can do Luke, and I'll be more reasonable at that. You know, the thing I kind of wondered, you know the TOA, right? At the time of them introducing the TOA in KDNF, they said that the characters in there are copies of characters that are actual characters in the server from people who are hardcore. Right? I almost wonder if they had a similar event to Pro-Aradian and the top 100 characters of that event ended up being characters in the TOA. If that's the case, they really should add the top 100 Pro-Aradians out of this event from DFOG and add them to the TOA. That would be the sickest thing. It would make our server unique. It would give credence to the Pro-Aradian grind that we're going through. Not everybody's doing it. In fact, I'd be surprised if there's 100 dedicated people who are going to be able to spend as much time as I have, because like I said, it's been a fucking debilitating kind of thing. I have kind of my secret to my youth, my secret to my success of why I've been able to play DFOG just straight non-stop without playing hardly any other games, and playing every day for sure, has been pacing myself. And I've kind of warned people about this in the past, but you can't do too much in a set amount of time. You've got to set aside some time for real life time, for sleeping, some fucking, you know, leisure time. Do something that isn't DFO, maybe. I know some people are really hype about Monster Hunter. Some people won't shut the fuck up about Monster Hunter, but I'm not saying, you know, start playing other games, but, you know, you can't do too much in this game or you face burning out. And at first, I kind of felt, the first couple days, I was like, I'm going to burn myself out if I do this many Antons every day. But we've kind of, like I said, toned down how long it's taken us to do those Antons, and I don't feel compelled that I have to do them consistently every day, 12 out of 12. You know, I might settle for 7, and 7 is more than enough for me. And because of the sheer fact that they removed a lot of the dailies I used to do that took up quite a bit of time, it's kind of giving me more time to do more Antons, which is, I still think it's a bad thing, because I had the option before, but now it's kind of forced on me. Like, what other dailies are you doing, Rick? We got Antons to do, of course. You know, it kind of forced it on me. I do hope that they re-release that other stuff, but Pro-Aradian definitely opened my eyes, and I just wanted to mention that. I know a lot of you guys kind of just blew this event off, but if you kind of force yourself to do it, you can evolve into a hardcore DFO player. I was just a fucking casual, apparently, before, even though I played every day. I didn't step into this world yet. That being said, some of the people that are hardcore are also the fucking most casual people I've ever seen, because they can't stand the grind that is guild dungeons, but they can do Antons for 13, 15 million times a day, but can't do guild dungeons. These are the fucking biggest hardcore casuals I've ever heard. You know, that's all I gotta say on that. So, and this is just to me to shout out to you guys who have been doing that since the start. And you know, I kind of took pride in the fact that I was grinding towards having every character in the game, and I still do. My Explorer level does not indicate that, by the way. God dang it. I'm level 26 out of 30, even though I have every character in the fucking game. Anyway, kind of, you know, it takes pride in doing that, but as well as the people who are hardcore about it. Some people don't really care about every character in the game. Who would, actually? Because there's some of them who I will not name who should be thrown in the dumpster. But aside from that, some people like to focus on just the top, you know, 12. You know, so they pick 12 characters, and those 12s are really geared, and that's definitely the more efficient way to go. I have a lot of characters right now that are just kind of mules and or just fashion fodder at this point. You know, I'm just putting costumes on just to make them look cool, not really for anything else. Obviously, I can't play them all, but I do like having them. So to each their own on the Pro-Aradian, but definitely am liking the stuff I'm getting out of doing it. The next two topics I want to talk about, I mean, they're in game, but they're kind of like meta topics, right? This kind of applies to any game. DFOG is not really exclusive to this, but DFO has its own take on it, right? Every game has its own take on it. What I'm going to talk about first is pay to win. Is this game pay to win? And I want to also talk about supports, because this came up in my last video. But let's talk about that pay to win part first. Guys, is DFO pay to win? At any point in time for the past almost 3 years now, I'm going to say 2.5 years now, there would never have been a situation where I'd even think twice about whether or not DFO was pay to win, right? I kind of did an analysis, right? Because I made some claims on the stream that I wasn't too sure on. I kind of mentioned like, man, remember back in the day when Wild Wild Safari was like 20 bucks? Not even. It was like freaking 15 bucks. And look at today. The package that they're selling, the Welcome to Hell package, is $35. It is 100%, like no question about it, the most expensive package we've ever gotten in DFOG. And Wild Wild Safari, way back in the day, it was like one of the first packages we got, was really like 19, 20 bucks. So they just damn near doubled the price of what this package sale has. Now, I did an analysis. I'm going to put that in the description. If not today, tomorrow, because I'm going to finalize it. But basically, I went through every package sale that they sold, right, since the beginning of time with DFOG and the price of it. And what I kind of concluded about it was they have competitively priced their packages pretty dang fairly, I'd say. As the items got stronger, for sure, the price did increase. They have an idea about what are good packages and what are good statted pets, creatures, titles, that kind of stuff. They have an idea about that. So if there was, in this package especially, oh, this one has a really useful title that people want, well, we're going to competitively price that and mark up the price a little bit in comparison to any other run-of-the-mill title package that they were selling, you know? So they kind of have competitively priced it. They always base their price on the items that are within the package, which is kind of a way of saying it's still fair, but they often load it with things that are jacking up the prices needlessly. I'm talking like, oh, we're also going to give you Neo Premium Plus, like even if you didn't ask for it, you know, or we're going to give you all this other shit you didn't ask for, and you got to pay the price of that even though you definitely didn't want it. The biggest offender is actually in this package right now. The non-tradable package right now, the untradable package, is a self-purchase thing. You can't trade it on the auction hall. It's all for your own character. But what they did was they loaded all the other fucking bullshit items into it, right? They put the title, they put the creature, they put the aura and the costume. This secondary untradable package has always, since the beginning of time, since every package deal before it, right? I will show in the spreadsheet that I made, almost every package before it, everything had a secondary costume package that was an untradable package that only had the costume in it, and it averaged at most 12 to 13 bucks. At the maximum, it didn't matter what the costume was. And then look at Welcome to Hell. The second that this package came out this year, you hit us with a package that was untradable package that was more than 20 bucks. In fact, it's 24. This is $24 for a costume package that you cannot trade to anybody, untradable, but they loaded it again competitively with all of these avatars, the pet, the title, the aura, all of this shit that you didn't ask for. They put it in there, and it just kind of like, what the fuck, Neopol? Luckily for me, this was not like the Arthurian set, because I would have seriously considered quitting the game if they kind of hit me with that, where maybe I really like the costume and I just wanted to get the costume for all my characters. This is not a package I could do it consistently on. I would be okay with paying 10 bucks for each of my characters to get the Arthurian costume for most of them, but I am not okay with paying 24. So the pricing has been pretty fair up until right this moment, this package right here. And I think the pricing is fine, but the fact that they wanted to load all this other junk into it has not been fine. And I think the reason for that is because this was also the patch that has tradable avatars now. So now your avatars have a monetary value to them where they almost never did before. And now it kind of justifies them increasing the price a little bit more again, because now you have a useful item instead of like a useless cosmetic item. You have a useful, worth gold item in your inventory. It's not just a cosmetic, right? Since it does have value in the auction hall, in the market now. So that is also another reason why I suspect the price went up $5 more, because, by the way, the actual tradable package is $35, which the only other package that came close to it, I think, was the Olympian package, which was like $31, $32. So again, I'll have the exact numbers when I actually go look at them, but that's what we're talking about here. This is the highest, most expensive package, and definitely the highest, most expensive untradeable package, which has just the dumbest front loading of items that they could possibly come up with. Never do this again, Neil. If you're listening to me, if you don't listen to another word I say, don't ever fucking do that shit again, because I'm serious. If you did this on a package that I actually cared about and I actually would want the costumes out of, like the Arthurian package, I guarantee you that would be grounds for me to just say, Neilpool's trying to fucking pigeonhole me too much. They're abusing the fact that this is a cool costume, and they know that people like me are gonna want to fucking buy tons of them, and they're forcing me to pay $25 for them, when ever since the beginning of time with these costumes they've only been $12. Like, do not try to pull this bullshit. I would be furious. Luckily, I hate most all of these costumes, and yeah, I picked up a few here and there in the auction hall. I paid gold for them, and you know, that's the end of that. But boy, would that have driven me bonkers if they decided to do that with a better costume. So let this be a warning for the doppelganger package. That's one that I'm actually excited for. I'm gonna get some packages there, at least, you know, 4 or so. They better not pull the same shit. Hopefully they learn from that. Like, that's ridiculous. Now, I just kind of talked about the pricing. Like I said, I don't really have a big deal with the pricing. Like I said, they've done it fairly. They've done it based on what items they're giving, the titles, the creatures, the auras. They've kind of based them competitively. The creatures, if they knew it was a good creature, they maybe mark it up. If they knew that it was a swap title, we've only had swap titles like, what, 3-4 times in DFO's history. So, like, I got no big issues there. I'm just worried about the pricing that they're going to go from here on out. They already set the precedent of $35 and $24. Are they going to go even more ham? You know, fuck, what are they going to plan next? You know, $50, $60 packages, and this is really daunting with the idea of, and this is kind of what you guys are probably thinking about, the one thing I can't really defend Neilpool on is the extremely detrimental buy one, buy more kind of package incentive deals, right? So what this is, every time, ever since I want to say the Olympian package. The Olympian package kind of introduced this concept, but basically what it is you purchase a package, and if you buy 2 packages, like tradable packages, they will give you extra items to kind of go with it. And so, like, for instance, if you buy 2, they'll give you an extra aura, you know, or you buy 3 and they'll give you a creature, and then if you buy 4, they'll give you an extra title to go with it. So it's kind of incentivizing people to buy more packages. In this case, it's doing much the same. If you buy 4, you actually get a silver grimoire, which grimoires are not fucking easy to get. Grimoires are creme de la creme because you need them to amp your gear, and if you're at the hyper end game, you need a 12-12 amp all of your gear if you want to take your character seriously. So they're damn near necessary, and they're very expensive for that reason. You have the opportunity to get 3 out of just buying packages at 4, 8, and 12 packages purchased. And this is what I'm getting at here. We have gone to extreme levels never seen before. Okay, I have seen at the very start they kind of made it so, okay, if you buy 4 packages, at the most you can get another title or a bead or whatever. We'll give you a legendary bead if you buy 4 or 5 packages. You know, you don't get any extra benefits if you went any further than that. If you bought 6, 7, 8, 9 packages, you don't get any more stuff. But this time, they were just like, yeah, people are buying 4 packages. Let's hit them with the 15 purchase. If you buy 15 packages, we'll give you the guaranteed option to get a +2 on your title. Seriously, super valuable. People have done it very luckily to get +3 on a title. It's very hard to do. But they're asking somebody to fucking pay 15 packages to guarantee that option, which, don't get me wrong, is very valuable, but kind of begs the question, wow, how pay to win do you want to be? Seriously, you do the math and it's like 500 plus, right? It's like $525 to get the guaranteed title +3. You can get any title that you could ever imagine that you'd want, guaranteed, but throw $525 of the game first, which is a lot of fucking money, okay? It's a lot of fucking money. This is not something that a normal player could be able to get pretty consistently. Trust me, I tried to get one skill. On my fucking Paladin, ended up spending almost 200 mil. And I never saw the skill until I spent that much. And I only got +2. I was looking for +3. But, you know, I was being stubborn, spent 200 mil, didn't even see the damn skill until then. Now you get kind of the option to get it immediately, +3, no problem. I don't even think that's the biggest issue right there. There's an item that you can get after buying 9 packages that is the real pay-to-win bullshit. What you get at the 9 purchase reward is a artifact box, and in that artifact there is a 15% crit damage artifact that does not exist in the game. It does not exist anywhere at any point in time. They have never given this artifact to anybody, and the only possible way to get it is to buy 9 packages, and it is bound to account, so you have to basically buy it for yourself. You can't just buy it from somebody else who whales in this game. You can't just buy it from somebody else and get it. We are talking 15% crit damage. It should be noted that this is only on the Welcome to Hell pet, which on its own does not have very good stats. It's very underwhelming. It's pretty decent, I'll say, but, you know, it has a little bit of elemental damage, no real good skills. But this 15% crit damage is kind of what's it's scaled around. And so if you put the 15% crit damage along with another artifact, which kind of gives it, I forgot what it gives. It gives +25 physical, magic, and independent attack. If you add that on top of that, and hell, if you put on the third artifact that you can get at 13 purchases, you can get a pet that has the best stats in the game with the best artifacts that you can possibly get to give you, you know, 5% attack and cast speed, the 15% crit damage, as well as the 25 attack stat on top of the base stats of the pet. It's hard to say this is anything but pay to win. Like I said, I don't think even with all of those things combined, this pet is the best thing ever, but it should be noted, right? This pet has crit damage on it, which if you're at the hyper end game, if you have upgraded level 90 set, a savior weapon, and you have the upgraded version of the 5 senses set and the Heblon set, if you have all those things, you don't actually have any crit damage mods. You lose all the normal smash modifiers that you normally get with the attack smash and the crit smash. You don't have no piece of gear has it. So basically you need it from another source, and the pet is a great source. It's just 15% crit damage that you don't already have in gear. So it's perfect. It is a perfect mega hyper end game future pet to have. Right now it's only marginally better than pets that already exist. It is the biggest crit damage bonus if you're only looking at the 15%. I think the only other pets are 10%, and they don't have the elemental damage this pet does. It's just pay to win. I'm just gonna say how it is. This item's not even tradable. You just pay 500 bucks or whatever, however much you want for all of the artifacts, 400 something. You just throw that much money at the game and you get items that nobody else ever could. Flat out, no thought about it, pay to win. There's no defending it, right? Like, this is why I said in the update video, there's nothing I can say that can say, oh, well, you know, this is not really pay to win because you can buy it. You can't even fucking buy it. It's a bound on account item. So only the people who throw enough money at the game can get this mega hyper in-game pet, and you'll be marginally stronger than somebody else who has maybe a Varrock pet or something like that, Salame, Ignis pet, something like that. You'd be marginally stronger than them, and potentially, depending on how strong you already are, quite a bit stronger than them. And that's only because you threw money at the game. Boy, is this a fucking cash grab. I mean, it should have already been the case when I told you guys you can buy the package 15 times and get rewards for it every time up until then. Should have been a red flag from the start. Honestly, guys, I really can't defend something like this as being anything but pay to win, right? So despite all I said about the packages being kind of sold fair at a decent price, I haven't really complained about that in terms of pay to win, because you can buy packages from other players. They're always selling them all the time because they're worth the gold. You know, sometimes you've got to realize that time is money. So if you have more time to play DFO, you can get more gold. And the people who are working and stuff have more time to buy these packages. There's that fair trade that you can have with people who work versus people who play. And I can appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I don't think it's pay to win to kind of balance that gap, right? Because you can get the same items between the two. It's just how do you get them, right? Some people can just buy it directly. Some people have to buy it from other people. But this is that one situation where the guys who throw more money at the game get more things for it, and they get exclusive things for it, and only they get it. It's ridiculous. It's pay to win as fuck. Period. And they really need to avoid doing that at all costs. This isn't really the case that, oh, 15 packages, I get 15 prizes. This is the prizes that they're giving are now exclusive only to the people who throw that much money at the game, which is $500 to ask for the items involved. You're fucking out of your mind. Period. I'm never going to defend that shit. So, Neopol, hopefully you're listening. Stop putting in exclusive fucking bullshit, right? At least have the chance to get that item, right? I kind of am okay with the idea of having a +3 title guaranteed for the guys who throw enough money at the game, because the option to get a +3 title is definitely there without doing that. But the option to get a 15 crit artifact, not there. So chill out with that shit, Neopol. I kind of ranted a long time about that subject. I'll probably edit that all up, but fucking pay to win and shit. Anyway, guys, the last topic I want to talk about, and this came up in my latest Paladin video, and that was the idea that the Paladin was not a support class. At the end of the day, I saw some pretty heated people who were really didn't agree. They're just like, well, you know, if you don't think Paladin's support, who do you think is support? You know, Paladin is support, period, Rick. You're wrong. And it kind of brought up the question. They're like, well, by your logic, they use that phrase, by your logic, only Crusader would be support. Only both of the female and male Crusader would be support. And I think I kind of agree with that assessment. I think in this game, the only real supports are female and male Crusader. The kind of way I see it, and the reason why there is kind of argument going on, is the semantics. What do you mean when you mean support? And that's really the only reason we have a disagreement, right? We're just not sure of the definition of what you're claiming to be a support. When I think support, I always think of the kinds of roles that you have in the party, right? And I know a lot of people use these classes like Paladin, like Nen, and they use them as full support, right? They even get a Vilmark set, and they get all these legendaries and all this other stuff that make them build them to just be support, to use their supportive buffs, maybe some kind of supportive skills, and hey, I'm just going to stand around the enemy and debuff them, and I'm going to help out my team in that way. But truly, the core component of the class is not really to do that. It isn't really to serve that purpose when you look at the rest of their skills. And the reason why I kind of look at the Crusaders a little bit differently is because their entire role, as long as they're building support, I know male Crusader has kind of like he can go both ways, but the whole role of the Satyr class is to serve as a support beacon, right? Especially when you consider how often they're used in parties. I mean, there's a reason why these characters are considered the one true gods of DFO, and why they're necessary in every Luke party and every party at the hyper end game, right? They're the gods of support, right? Because their value in a party is so much greater than just replacing them with any other character in the game, because they fill that role, and all of their skills do so well at doing that. And I don't think that any other class really strives towards that. You can just think about the gear. That's the one thing I like to think about. What kind of gear do you tend to build on characters that are support? At the end game, you really only have damage sets, and you only have one set that is built around 2 classes in the game. I'm talking the plate armor set, the level 90 set, when you upgrade it, is built around 2 characters in the game to buff up their skills directly. It is crazy how important these characters are. That's, again, God of DFO, gods of DFO. Every other set in this game, every other gear set, every other armor set, every other accessory set, weapons, everything is damage, damage, damage. In this game, if you didn't believe me when I started this little rant, this game is focused around deeps and nothing else. The concept and idea of tanking, or tanking any damage, or even healing to some extent, because I think healing is something, if you're prepared, to take damage, you can heal yourself immediately to full as long as you had common items like Remy's Touch and anything coming from Canna's. You know, healing is not even a thing that I would consider you need a class to do, right? When you have so many healing items that heal instantly, healing is not a thing. Tanking is not a thing. Nothing related to that kind of support aspect is a thing. The only thing that matters in support are the buffs, debuffs, and the holds. Those are the kind of things that people attribute to support classes. And I just think that the characters that strive towards the buff aspect especially are the true supports of this game, both of the Crusaders. The other characters, I think somebody laid it out for me in a way I kind of look at them, they're just like sub deeps, right? I do recognize that characters like the Paladin, like the Mistress, like the Nen, like the Soulbender, they have a lot of party synergy, right? They have skills that are designed to buff up the party, where there are some other classes who don't have that. But I will say this, right? Like when you look at the big spectrum of the classes in this game, there are not a lot of characters that are pure 100% deeps. In fact, I can only think of like one off the top of my head, and that's Ranger, right? Ranger, that selfish motherfucker, he's all about pure damage. But you know, you even think about even people who you would consider just to be pure damage, like Weapon Master or even Elven Knight or any of these other characters, right? Elven Knight, man, used to, and she still does today, but she used to have so many party buffs, but never in the history of the game would anybody ever say, oh yeah, Elven Knight's a support class. Dude, she had like cooldown reduction, 2 different defense debuff shreds, a cooldown reduction, and a damage amplification that lasts a whole dungeon. Like, that is probably more shit than my Paladin has at this point. Not as potent, honestly, but still, the supporting capabilities that she had were there, and people didn't consider Elven Knight a support. I don't think anybody ever said that. So it's kind of like we're putting people into roles where really I just think it's more gray than that, right? I don't think I can just put my Paladin in a support role because I can't ever even think that she can match up to what a Crusader can do. And if I tried to match up, if I tried to wear the same kind of gear that they do, stacking all kinds of support type of gear to compensate, I just would fall flat on my ass. Instead, I would be much more efficient at building damage and taking their buffs and actually using them effectively myself, instead of trying to be support like they are. You know, you're just not going to be as good as them. And I think this kind of concept it's doing more harm than good. I've seen it a lot in Anton and Luke, is that people think that, oh, this character is just a support. She has a pretty potent buff and I only have to build support. I've seen freaking Paladins try to come into raid with nothing but like Halidom or anything on. Like, come on, man. This is just promoting the idea of laziness. I don't understand why a Paladin would come into there dressed like that, you know, like a bum. People who think that, oh, this character is carried alone by her support, when nothing that she can put on will make her supporting capabilities any stronger. Unlike the characters like the Crusaders, who can get more stats, they can get more int, they can get more spirit, they can get more vite, and make their buffs more potent. Again, coming back to the gear part of it, there is no equivalent for any of the other classes that have party synergy skills. That's kind of the problem here, is that you can't replace the Crusader. You can't really call them in the same class. And I think support should be the Satyrs, I guess, and everybody else should just be, you know, something else. Maybe we can call them support. Sure, we'll call them support. We'll call the Nen, we'll call the Soulbenders, your Mistresses, we'll call them support, and we'll just call the true supports, the real supports, we'll call them God, right? We'll have one God of a party, one support, and then, you know, deeps. But like I said, if your definition, we're arguing semantics here, if your definition of a support is just anybody who provides party synergy, there are so many classes that do that, right? Are you measuring it by how effective they are at doing that? Because some classes do it better than others, obviously. Some classes do both pretty dang well. I think Nen and Paladin are pretty good examples. You can do a lot of damage and do a lot of support. Like, you know, where's the cutoff, right? How many buffs do I need? How many debuffs do I need? How many grabs do I need before you finally consider a class as support? Or, you know, how much damage do I need to do? Or what kind of skills do I need to have to be considered a deeps? Like, where are the rules? Where are the guidelines? Because I don't care for them. Semantics right here. I just don't think that a character who has everything going for her in terms of building damage and you're going to build damage at the end game, you're not going to want to, why would you be at the end game and still wearing all of this meme Vilmark stuff, right? Every other set in the game is for damage. Ekon, everything is for damage. All the 90 sets minus the plate armor set for Crusaders is for damage. Everything. Your accessories, Heblon set, all of that shit is for damage, and your class is building damage. I don't care what class you are if you're not a Crusader. That's how this game is built, and that's how the classes are designed. Just look at how the Soulbender was changed to be a lot more offensive oriented, because that's the direction Neopol wants to go. They don't want hardly anybody just to be a useless kind of stand around the enemy support kind of guy. And I'm not going to think about classes like that. I'm going to look at what their skills are, and as far as I've seen kind of direction the game is going, only the Crusaders really fill that support role, and everybody else is looking to do that deeps. And I think that's the direction this game has been going in since the very beginning, and we still are going in even today. I know I'm definitely probably in the minority on this, but that's kind of how I look at it, at a much higher overarching kind of level of what the direction is for most of these classes versus these two classes that are way different than that. But anyway, guys, we have been talking for a lot, and my voice is giving out a little bit, so let's go ahead and go over some questions. Alright, first we talked about the Origin update, which was obviously pretty big. What was your one most favorite thing that was not the swap system? What was your favorite thing that was added in this patch? I think there was a lot more taken away, but there's got to be something you might like out of the Origin update. What was your guys' favorite? Next we talked about Pro-Aradian. I just want to know your guys' current status on Pro-Aradian. Did you guys do it at all? Are you guys making good progress? Did you guys fall behind and just give up? I mean, what's the status here? Do we have at least 100 guys who are doing this, or am I the only one? Next, we kind of talked about Pay2Win. What are your guys' thoughts on Pay2Win in DFO? I think a lot of you guys kind of share the same opinion. This game is not Pay2Win. It's only very recently that we're kind of seeing glimpses of it, and it's alarming, obviously, for me. This is where I kind of get heated. Whereas that we've gone for 3 years and we haven't even had to deal with anything like this, and now here it goes. So I've heard other people just say straight up, oh, this game's fucking pay to win from the start. So what do you guys think? And lastly, the supports thing. Really, what's your definition of a support? Would you just consider Paladin a support? I want to know why. You guys hear my opinion. I more or less kind of think of them as sub-deeps, because that's their true end game goal, not really supporting like these other gods of DFO. But what do you guys think on that? But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. There was the 4th episode of the DFO podcast, Arad Airways, and I will catch you nights later.